Network presents exclusive coverage of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Tonight, a rematch of last year's championship game as the New England Blazers take on the defending champion Philadelphia Wings. We expect a great crowd here at the Spectrum of Philadelphia. Hello, everybody. I'm Leif Elsmo, joined by Bruce Todman. And Bruce, these two teams have not seen each other since that championship game.
It should be an exciting one. The New England Blazers have got a tremendously well-balanced offense. Last year they had 10 players that were double figures or more, but they've lost their heart and soul of their team, John Fay. They've replaced him with a 60-goal scorer, Mark Gold. We'll see if he can do the job.
Well, he's a great veteran, but they really rely on youth. Toby Boucher, there's nobody better. That was his first year in the league and his first championship game last year.
We learned a lot in last year's championship game, but the key tonight for a Blazers victory is going to be to shut down Philadelphia's deliberate offense and to get our running game going and hopefully wear them out in the first half and win the game in the second half with our fast breaks.
And of course, that deliberate offense is led by a lot of high scorers. No better combination than Brad Kotz and John Tucker.
Those two, along with Andy Wilson, combined for almost half of the goals that the Wings scored last year. They're going to have to spread their offense around a little bit more. Another thing, Dave Evans was very upset last week with their transition game. They've got to get the ball moving much more quickly from defense to offense. We'll see if they can push it up the floor a little bit quicker tonight.
Of course, that transition starts with winning the faceoff. Nobody does it better than Chris Flynn. He is one of the key leaders that are critical to the success of this team.
In practice this week, the leaders really got together. John Tucker and Brad Kotz, they're really going to have to pick up the scoring this week. And in order to beat New England, I'm going to have to come out there and win some faceoffs and go in the corners and mix it up.
Well, it certainly will be a great game. We will be joined by Bill Barroza on the sidelines, and we will be back with the opening faceoff in just one moment. Stay with us. The MILL is brought to you by Coors Light. No slowing down with the silver bullet. By U.S. Air, America's most frequent flyer. By STX. Revolutionize your game with STX lacrosse equipment. And by Winless, official warm-up of the MILL. Welcome back to the Spectrum. The crowd is on their feet, and let's take a look at the starting lineups for tonight's great rematch of last year's championship game. The starting lineup for New England looks a lot like it did last year, except for one of the key switches that we talked about. New England goes with Boucher, Stevens, Cataldo, Gold, Sedan, and O'Neill. Mark Gold wears the same number as John Fay. He will be critical. For the Wings, Flynn, DeChico, Kotz, Martin, Retch, and Eliuk. And that is a very tough lineup for Philadelphia. The goalies, of course, always critical. And for New England, Dan O'Neill, who was very tough last year, will go as long as he can. And for Philadelphia, coming in from Canada, Eliuk, and I'll tell you, Eliuk had a very tough game last week against Detroit, who is possibly the best offensive team in the league. All set for the faceoff. Philadelphia 0-1 as they come into this game. New England 1 win, no losses. So this game critical to the defending champion Philadelphia Wings. Lee Belsmo along with Bruce Todman and Bill Barroza on the sidelines. The faceoff, first one of the game, goes to Philadelphia. Chris Flynn, who we met in the open, successful in his first attempt. He carries the ball off of that faceoff. Now the offense goes to Kotz. They will set up and get something very deliberate going. This unit pretty much the same as the unit that started against Detroit last week. And Bruce Kotz really is the field general for this line. Starts up top left. Little fake. Jew comes in. He likes to shoot left. He takes that right-handed shot against O'Neill. Not a very tough shot. He likes to go left. That was the right-hander. Kotz again gets nailed in close. That's Boucher, who we met in the opening of the game. Number 11. All the way across. Martin takes a shot. One of the offensive stars. 2 saves early on for Dan O'Neill. Martin gets the ball back. They're spreading the offense out, trying not to get in any foot races, Bruce.
They've already gotten more quality shots in the first minute than they got in the first quarter last week.
Again, coming off a very disappointing first game against Detroit. And here they have dominated the first, well, minute and 10 seconds of this game. The first game here at the Philadelphia Spectrum. This crowd loves their team. Over 8,000 season tickets, and a hard shot by Kotz outside. That's the shot that he has made his trademark shot in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. And now New England with their first offense. They change on the fly. Kelly Carr comes in, number 36. He gets wide for his position, gets it straight behind. They look for a cutting player. Open shot out front. dishes it inside, and that's a score that quickly by Scott Hiller from Massachusetts. This team led by a lot of All-Americans from the New England programs, and Hiller was in there with no defensive player, Bruce, left all alone, a defensive breakdown.
There must have been a mix-up in the back here someplace in the Philadelphia defense. Scott Hiller, a rookie from University of Massachusetts, walks right in, unguarded.
Looks like Brad Kotz got picked off on the defensive slide.
And by the time he realized that he was outside, almost outside the attack zone, he couldn't recover in time. Hiller just walked right in.
So Scott Hiller, a rookie, first goal of the game for New England, coming in 1-0 in Philadelphia. What a critical game for them. New England gets their first face-off. Now they are 1-1. And the score, 1-0 New England with 13 minutes left very early in the first quarter. Another hard shot from out front, and that is bizarre. Scott Hiller bounces one in. He doesn't show any respect to this goalie, and that is normally a very easy save. 2-0 New England.
That shot was from the blue zone. That was way outside, and Eliuk was partially screened right through the 5-hole. He should have had that one.
A partial screen, normally not enough for that kind of shot. That shot way out in front, but Hiller has taken over the game. His 2 goals put New England up 2-0, and a very shocked crowd now getting a little antsy for the offense.
Now we have the benefit, of course, of watching the replay twice, and it was a pretty good screen setup, as a matter of fact.
The face-off still not controlled. Chris Flynn is Philadelphia specialist, and that contact draws a lot of crowd reaction. Manley now picks it up, and we'll give Philadelphia credit for that face-off.
John Tucker just made a fabulous hit. Got this crowd moving.
What a tough job for New England to come into this crowd, a frenzied crowd. John Tucker now, knowing that he has to pick up the pace. One fake, and a shot, and a score. 2-1. Tucker brings his Philadelphia Wings team back to within 1.
Sometimes it's unbelievable the emotional lift that a player can get from the crowd. Tucker started this out with a hit at the other end, and they ended up getting possession of the ball. He walked around past 2 screens set for him. Bounce shot, far corner.
The first fake got Dan O'Neill to go up snug to that pipe, and then he went to the backside. A very impressive move by one of the best players ever to play in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. He was a Coors Light All-Pro, first team last year. Did not play in the championship game because of a knee injury. He needs to really make his mark for his team to get their first win of the season.
Tucker was very disappointed in his performance last week.
He talked about it afterwards. He did not show the leadership. He didn't make a big effort and show up very well in the score. He got 1 goal last week, but really played a little bit flat out in Detroit. It's a tough road trip for Philadelphia, but they come into this game 0-1.
The Wings are setting up in their traditional man-to-man defense.
Peter Schmitz gets it inside, and that was Mark Goal who had the shot, but he is checked off the ball. Holding call. The Blazers lead 2-1, 11:44 left. New England continues to control. Boucher now has the ball. Toby Boucher will give it off to Stevens. They have the 1-goal lead. Not much defense so far, which is surprising. Normally the goalies very tough early on when they're fresh. But Bruce, the goalies look like they are off their game tonight on both ends of the floor.
They do so far, but it's early.
The offense again, Boucher pushing it in, trying to get closer for the shot. Back to Boucher, he's not picked up, he takes a fake, and he scores. Shot clock went off.
I don't think they're going to count that one. The referee is signaling a goal, but the shot clock had clearly gone off.
I think they waved it off. You're absolutely right. There's a 40-second shot clock.
Once you gain possession of the ball, you must take a shot on the opposition's goal within 40 seconds.
Tough break for New England. Look at this. Toby Boucher all alone down there. He fakes twice. That second fake is what cost him the goal. But then again, it may be the one to put it in the nets. But they were right down to the wire on that shot clock. Now they're facing off. They do give him the goal. They say it was right on the buzzer. So he gets credit. Toby Boucher gets the goal 3-1. New England leads, and he gets the goal to put New England back up by 2.
It's a good thing we're not refereeing, I guess.
We forgot to do the easy thing. Look at the scoreboard. It looked like it was right beyond the buzzer. Referee said that shot was gone on the buzzer.
I still think it was.
3-1 the scoreboard reads, and they're getting ready for a fast face-off. Let's take a look right here again. Boucher was not picked up. And right down the throat Eliuk had a very tough game last week against Detroit.
Okay.
They're going to talk about this goal. Maybe it's not over yet. 3-1 is the score on the scoreboard. 11 minutes left. No defense yet. Stay with us.
The only thing I can do is have him running.
The official scorer's table will announce when there is 10
Well, that was awfully close. That was awfully close. We could hear on that replay that the buzzer, in my estimation, still went before the ball went in the net.
Well, we'll have to check the rule book on that one because it also looks like the ball was out of the stick at the time the buzzer went off. So if it's like the NBA, that's a goal. Anyway, it's on the scoreboard. That's all that counts. 3-1, New England leads, and they have not had very much defense on the Philadelphia end of the field. Maybe Bruce Todman, they're thinking too much about offense in Philadelphia, forgetting the defense that you've got to have in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League.
New England are setting up some very effective screens early on, and they're freeing people up in the offensive zone. As long as the Wings continue to do that man-to-man defense, they're very susceptible to the screen.
Philadelphia, 2 players, Rob Hoynes and Tom Burt, on the roster that were not on the roster against Detroit last week as they try to rework the magic that made them 2-time world indoor champions. Brad Kotz, Coors Light first team All-Pro. He finds a man in the seam and a hard shot to Dan O'Neill, who gobbles that one up. Here comes the transition game that New England does so well. Toby Boucher talked about burning up the legs of the defense. They want to test Philadelphia, wear them down. They feel like they're in better shape than the Philadelphia Wings. They want to really make them work in the first half. Charmin has the ball out front. Now he gets it in low. That's Piatelli. Piatelli gets a nice screen and a shot from the wing. He took himself out of the cone a little bit, out of the real high percentage shot area. Up to Kotz. Kotz has a fast break. He's a natural lefty. Let's see if he goes down to the right. All the way across. He has a man and a shot. Another save by O'Neill. And Bruce, I think O'Neill really feels strong. He's made some good saves. He looks like he's into his game.
He does. He split the goaltending last year with John Yeager, who's now moved upstairs into the front office. He's the general manager of the Blazers.
John Yeager last year, I think the oldest player in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, and he did a sensational job. Blanchard. Hard shot goes above the pipe. That will not reset the shot clock, which must not be working because the clock behind the goal is not illuminated. So that must be a number that's being kept by the referees on the field. And those referees tonight are Scott Boyle, Rich Tamburino, and Tom Young.
The possession ball back to the Philadelphia Wings.
Just under 9 minutes, 3-1, New England, a surprising lead here early on. Philadelphia comes in with not a victory yet this year, 0-1. And a huge crowd here to see him turn that around. O'Neill with yet another save. He's got a handful, and look at this snowbird all the way up to Chanenchuk, who cannot find it. Denikin races down to get him, and Eliuk comes out there and corrals that ball. Very dangerous when the goalie comes out of the crease-protected area.
Let's watch the Blazers as they set up at their end. They're also playing a man-on-man zone.
Tucker begs for the ball. He gets it. Let's see him set up his line here. Tucker wearing arm pads for maybe the first time in his career. He is not known for wearing equipment at all. He likes to go out there with the bare arms, which really can take its toll on a player. Tucker, nobody to help him, comes out in front. Looks to the far side. 2 players collide. Holthouse got right in the way of a cutting Philadelphia Wings player, but Holthouse comes up with the ball.
I think he's made a wise choice beefing up in the equipment, don't you?
I sure do. John Tucker, one of the more veteran players. He's a great player in the field game, All-American at Hopkins, and has really made his mark in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Mark Gold, the great transition player that New England got to try to replace John Fay. He's wearing the same number 28. A little pushing and shoving down there. Look out. Scott Gabrielson for the Wings. A little shoving match.
The referees have got their work cut out for them in the early going here, Leaf. The players are a little bit chippy. I think they're all remembering that championship game last year.
Well, as you know, it's tough to come into a game against a team that you routed the last time you play them and have the same sort of intensity. Let's take a look at the shoving match down in front of the crease.
Here's the kerfuffle down in front here.
Gabrielson gets wrapped up, and he doesn't like it.
No, he's a little overmatched and a little outnumbered down there.
So that puts Gabrielson in the box. It'll be 5-on-4. New England's first power play. And this is Carmine way up at top. Mark Gold takes the corner for the right-handed shot and passes it right into the defensive box of the Wings. Critical to get some goals on these power plays, and New England can go up by 3 if they can connect. Mark Gold does just that. 4-1 on the strength of a Mark Gold power play.
We mentioned last week in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, a goal is just devastating, or a penalty is just devastating. It allows the offense to set up 5-on-4, and you're just giving the opposition excellent opportunities to shoot. Eliuk looked like he's looking, in the early going, he looks as though he's looking for the high shot, and they're bouncing it by him.
He certainly does not look sharp. He was really rattled last week against the great offense of the Detroit Turbos, but here he's getting a lot of screens, not getting the full vision on these shots, and when you don't make those first couple of saves, you just don't feel that comfortable, and I don't think he looks very comfortable.
He's not only coming out of the net, he's coming up. He's lifting his shoulders up. Bounce shot is beating him badly so far.
DeChico comes up with the ball as Philadelphia gets the face-off, and just like that, they turn it into a goal off the great shot of John Conley from Towson.
John Conley comes in here. Watch him switch hands. He's on his right hand, switches to his left, and the defender, Tom Sudan, is just left behind. He blows it over the left shoulder. Dan O'Neill.
Well, it only took Philadelphia 20 seconds to make up that difference. There's Conley right now. They really needed that goal. 4-2. The Blazers have not been behind. They got up to a 2-0 lead on the strength of Scott Hiller's 2 goals. Tucker came back and scored before 2 more by New England. 4-2 now. New England leads. We're about halfway through the first quarter. Faceoffs have been controlled by Philadelphia. This crowd really rooting him on. Chris Flynn right there gets control. It's a fast break. He's got a dragging player. He'll take the shot, and it's gobbled up by Dan O'Neill. Philadelphia commanding on the faceoffs, led by Chris Flynn. We talked about how critical he would be in the opening of the game. Transition game has to start with the possessions, and that's why the faceoffs are critical.
He's one of those inspirational players that can make a big difference.
He was a great football player at the University of Penn, so this crowd knows Chris Flynn. They love him, and he is really electrifying this crowd of probably around 15,000.
The Blazers got caught changing there, and they were 4-on-5. They double-teamed the ball carrier. As a result, it looks like the shot clock is being called. No, that's an interference call. Technical penalty. They're giving the ball to the Wings.
It looked like a moving pick. Kotz comes out on a switching of the lines, gets the ball, but he was played very tough by Toby Boucher. Resch comes in, sets a little bit of a pick. And the ball now, again, set back up in the transition by Dan O'Neill. Here's Hiller. He's got 2 already. Can he get a third? No goal. Martin with a sensational check that took Hiller right out of his scoring angle. And now New England will change some people. Mark Gold comes out a little bit tired, and Kelly Carr comes in and takes the ball. The whole line comes in. Carr, Carmine, Gagnon, and Francis. Todd Francis right there with the ball. A tremendous target. A lot of size. Scott Hiller already with 2 goals. Now controls. A little bit of a rip on the carpet. Caught his foot. Shot clock has to be recycled because that one hit the net, and that one bounces wide. So Gagnon puts a good shot on. But Eliuk looks like he's getting a little bit more comfortable. A shot in close, and another save as it goes wide. 4:39 left, 4-2. New England, the visiting team, leading against the defending champions. A shot in close, and Eliuk, no question about it, is making some great saves. Mark Hahn, the speedster, the oldest player on this team, comes in with a chance to score, and he elects to settle it down. Boy, a great defense played down there by Eliuk. He looked shaky early on, Bruce, but he's really got himself together.
Yeah, he does. He was quite shaky in the early going. He faced such a barrage of shots last week.
Dan O'Neill comes out of the goal and decks Brad Kotz from behind, and that'll be time in the box. Brad Kotz comes off because he's a little bit tired. We'll take a short break. 4-2 the score, and the New England Blazers threatening to run away against the defending champs. Welcome back to Prime Networks coverage, exclusive coverage of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. 4-2, New England leads, but Philadelphia putting on some pressure. Dan O'Neill has looked sensational, and he makes a save there.
Dan O'Neill's got the Darth Vader shin guards on, looking very, very sharp tonight.
And he's a little bit rattled, throws it out of bounds. Philadelphia has stepped up the tempo a little bit. They've never led in this game, down by 2. That's the biggest lead. It was 3-1 at one point, now 4-2. New England shocking a little bit, this team from Philadelphia. In a moment, we'll go down to Bill Barroza and talk a little bit about the attitude of that New England team, because they certainly are a different team than the one that was spanked last year by this Philadelphia squad.
They are pushing the ball up the floor as they said they would, Lee.
This is Mark Gold, traded. New to the team this year, wearing John Fay's number, which is almost sacrilegious to the New England people. Comes in, good fakes, and takes a shot just wide of the net. And then knocks Eliuk over. Mark Gold, only about 5'10", but let me tell you what, very, very strong.
Well, he had a little help there, Lee.
He must have been shoved in because they get the ball back.
He had a little help, as you'll see in the replay here.
Defense nailed him into the goal.
Todd Curry gave him a little shove.
There's Mark Gold right now. They're trying to reset the net.
Tremendous acquisition in the offseason for this team.
And Philadelphia getting the support from the crowd. What a tremendous following here in Philadelphia. Before this game, they made the presentation of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League World Champion Trophy. And it really got them charged up.
While the Blazers all were forced to stand and watch.
And the Blazers give them a lot of credit, because they are playing a very confident game in this arena that has to be intimidating.
The Wings are playing a very tough defense in the early going, even though they've allowed 4 goals.
Well, we talked about the attitude change in New England, and let's talk to Bill Barroza for a moment and see if he can sense an attitude of confidence down there on the New England bench. Bill?
Leaf had a chance to listen to the New England Blazers players, and they're talking about how physical Philadelphia is. And in their first game against New York this year, they said it was a run game, and today they said they're going to just get into a physical game and not give up till the end.
All right, Bill Barroza, if you don't know, one of the great players that have ever played the game of lacrosse, and he has just retired from the Detroit Turbo squad. Last year, he was one of their best players. Bill Barroza has all kinds of credentials as a goalie in the field league, but he played this offensive style of play in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, a tremendous athlete, and some good insights from the sideline. As we look at Eliuk, Bruce Todman, this guy started off very, very shaky, and he really came into his own here under the championship banner of the Philadelphia Wings.
Well, he's a Canadian goalie, and that seems to be the preference here as we look at the World Championship banner of the Wings last year. 1990 and the 1989 champion.
Absolutely, and they've got a lot of white space to the right of those 2 dates. It looks like they're looking to make it a 3-peat and then maybe some more. So Eliuk has weathered the storm to keep his team within 2 goals. He had tremendous pressure, letting in a couple easy shots, relatively speaking. Brad Kotz now takes it from Eliuk, but checked immediately by Francis and Chanachuk. Less than a minute, 34 seconds in the first quarter. A relatively low-scoring affair after the goalies let in some early ones. They have really put the lid on the goal. All the way up to Todd Francis, who takes a shot. And the crowd loves the save by Eliuk. And another one.
Tremendous lead pass by Dan O'Neill.
And how about Todd Francis pulling that thing in just like Jerry Rice, fully extended.
This is transition lacrosse at its best. Tremendous save by Eliuk.
And he got the shot off just in time. 18 seconds left. And the possession will go to Philadelphia. 4-2, the New England squad leading, but has really settled down now as the goalies get their feet under them. Let's see what the call is here. The ball is going to New England. Mark Gold will take it right there, number 28.
18 seconds left in the first quarter.
A lot of young players on the New England team, and Bruce, this acquisition of Mark Gold will really help as we look at the penalty box. That's a 2-minute call, as you said, so it'll be, again, 5-on-4. But Mark Gold adds a good veteran to really settle down the young and inexperienced talent of the New England squad. Beautiful shot in close. Kevin Finneran from Ohio Wesleyan.
I was watching him practice before the game. He looked real good on the crease.
Shot goes wide. The clock expires. 4-2. New England really comes out strong. They have never been behind. A 2-goal lead. They take past the first stanza of play. That's the way it stacks up from the spectrum. Philadelphia coming from behind if they want to win. First quarter stats, Hiller got New England off to a quick 2-0 lead. Then it was John Tucker, the leader for Philadelphia, to bring him back into the game. Boucher comes back 3-1. Gold made it 4-1 before Connolly got back to within 2 goals. And now we start the second stanza of play.
New England controlling the face-off, Leaf.
And I'll tell you what, if you're watching the game and want to know who the goalie is, you probably think there's 5 of them in there because I pronounce it differently every time. It's Eliuk. It's spelled E-L-I-U-K from Vancouver. Tremendous goalie for Philadelphia. And Eliuk right there is tested by Toby Boucher. Carmine tries to find the handle. New England, very surprising, I think, to most people that they've come out with such great poise. They beat New York last week. A very close game, 1-0. Look at Eliuk, make 2 sensational saves. He's got 3 saves already, only 40 seconds into the second quarter. New England working the ball beautifully. 5 against 4. Power play. Boucher gives it up top. Carmine with a behind-the-back pass to Mark Gold. That behind-the-back is getting ever more popular with the addition of Gary and Paul Gate between turbos.
Leaf, you mentioned Tom Carmine playing the top of the power play. He got the winner last week in that game with 24 seconds left to play.
And that's a very tough defense in New York that they beat, so this team might be a little more for real. To recap last year, New England lost their first 2 games, won every game after that to get into the championship match against Philadelphia. Just didn't do it. Mark Gold gets the ball checked by Tucker, but he's got another shot, and it's up to Eliuk to make the save. 5-on-4. New England really trying to make their shots count. Boucher with a bounce shot that makes it. 5-2. Second power play goal of the game.
From about 15 feet out. You can't keep playing shorthanded in this box lacrosse game.
Toby Boucher with his second goal of the game and the second power play for the team.
Another bounce shot too, with men all over him.
You can
Bounce shot, excuse me, Leaf, is probably the most difficult shot for a goalie to save. You just don't know where it's going to come off of that carpet.
They're well padded, of course, in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. There's our prime network score leader, 5-2, the New England Blazers. This is our game of the week. We are 2 weeks into a 13 straight week coverage. And New England gets that face off.
New England seem to be setting up a play. It's the top of the head play.
Gold and Carmine both credited with assists on the goal by Toby Boucher. Well inside, it's Francis who, no, I mean, that's Frazier, Randy Frazier. Piatelli now up on the left-hand side from the goalie. Crowd being a little antsy, they want some offense, and here comes the transition they talked about. Brad Kotz comes in, he likes the left. He pulls back and goes to the trailing player Connolly, but he can't find him. Chanachuk had him defense beautifully, and now Chanachuk is 3-on-2, but a tired New England Blazer comes off. Cataldo comes on, he's fresh, they're changing the line. Here's Stevens wide open, Stevens gets it, but goes into the crease. Cataldo shoots wide. Shot clock, if you look at it behind the goal, it's not, I don't think it's right. First of all, it starts at 45, and this year it's a 40-second shot clock, so they're having some problems with that shot clock above the goal. John Tucker, his team down by 3. Gets it up front, a good shot, but Dan O'Neill with a sensational save. He has looked exceptional. Here's a fast break. 2-on-9. It's Chanachuk out front. The shot by Cataldo, and a 6-2 lead by New England. They are absolutely silencing the crowd. A big plus for them if they can quiet down this 11th fan.
The Wings, again here, looking very sluggish going into the corner for a loose ball. There's 3 men within the ball carrier. None of them can quite catch him.
They've talked about how they're going to try to fast break Philadelphia, and they're doing it very effectively.
Walt.
Cataldo puts his team up by 4. The fast-breaking style really making its mark against Philadelphia. We're back in Philadelphia. Leif Elsmo along with Bruce Todman, and after Cataldo gave New England a 6-2 lead, Bruce Chanachuk created a personal foul liability for his team, and now it's 5-on-4 for Philadelphia. Bruce, a great chance to get one goal back. They really need this one.
They do. New England's playing a very tight box. They're backing in. They're letting Philadelphia take the long shots. There's another one.
Actually, looks like they're playing a diamond. They've got two on the side and one up top. Schmitz is playing the point. It's very dangerous because the wings get the shot just like that.
You're right. That sort of an defense takes the shot away from Tucker at the top, and that's what they're trying to do, I guess.
They're getting into the wings down low if you can get it to them. The passing channels are cut off. There's a hard shot from out front. They'll give you that shot, but just try not to get it down to Delegati. And they turn back that with that diamond defense. Here comes Stevens. They'll try to eat up some of the clock. If they get a shot, they'll take one. Ball goes back to Eliuk. They'll have a 5-on-2 if they get it down in time. Delegati is raving for the ball, begging for it. Tucker brings it down, gets Curry catching up with him. Off to Delegati to Curry, and he can't get it past O'Neal. What a chance.
Great toe save by O'Neal. Just a terrific save.
Contact as Tucker comes out with the ball. He's got a 3-on-2. He'll fake and then shoot, and the ball bounces off the pipe. Yes, it's a goal. 6-3.
They're calling it in. The red light most definitely went on.
I think it did hit the pipe. He came in, Bruce, with a real nifty eye deception move. He looked off the goalie and then took the hard shot. Here's where it starts. Tucker picks it up. Nobody trails him. It's 3-on-2. Watch him fake to the right.
Just walks right in. He eyeballs it over. There's the shot.
And it just clanged off the lower pipe.
In and out real fast. It was off the lower bar, I would say.
You can see the pads on the back of the pipe, but the pad is not pushed forward enough, and that's exactly where it hit. And it just came ricocheting straight out. 6-3 the score. That's where it stands. Philadelphia moving back to within contention, and the crowd loves it in Philadelphia. Welcome back to the Spectrum. The crowd is electrified by some rejuvenated offense by Philadelphia. They're down by 2 on the strength of a Scott Gabrielson goal. 3:25 left, second period, and here comes more offense. In close against Dan O'Neal, and he gobbles that one up. Shot taken by John McAvoy from Villanova, local boy. So Philadelphia has climbed back to within 2, and here comes Brad Cox. 3 minutes left. Leif Ellsmo along with Bruce Codman. Tucker bounces wide. Bruce, Philadelphia has scored some goals in the second period. They've matched New England. It's 2-2 in the second period, but they really haven't showed any kind of dominance on the offensive end of the field. They scored 1 power play. They scored 1 on a fast break. That was off a steal. They still need a guy that can really take it in there and score some goals, it looks to me.
Yeah, you're right. They're not penetrating as of yet. They're bringing the ball up a bit quicker. The transition is happening a bit better than it was before, but they're still not penetrating when they get into the Blazers' end.
And don't forget, they lost last week in Detroit. They only scored 8 goals. They averaged over 11 goals last year in winning the championship. So that's a difference of 3 goals. And Detroit will be the first team to tell you they were 1-7 last year. After losing an average of 2 goals a game, you've got to keep the average above 10. The pace definitely quickening on both ends of the field as the Wings really try to step it up and match pace for pace with the young legs of New England. 2 minutes left. Still a 2-goal lead, but they've got the ball, and a 2-goal lead in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League is no lead at all. That can evaporate within seconds. Todd Curry, great All-American from Syracuse, shoots high.
Curry had Gabrielson all by himself in front of the net, but he couldn't find him.
He came in very determined to shoot. And Eliuk comes out, gets the ball back to Philadelphia. They'll change lines, reset the shot clock, and there's 1:30 left in the second quarter. A low-scoring game. Goalie's now taking charge. The defense is really shutting down the offense. Holthouse had the last shot, and he'll pick it up again. Holthouse will with 1:18 left. We don't know the shot clock because both of the clocks have been turned off. Gabrielson, who has scored the last goal for Philly, missed that one. Todd Curry out to Gabrielson, but it's checked away and intercepted. And here comes New England. Cataldo out in front. Kelly Carr picks it up, And with a minute left, New England will try to score. They lead 6-4. Scott Hiller already has 2 goals. That one saved by Eliuk. I'll tell you what, it was almost a better shot than the 2 goals that he did have. Eliuk started off very shaky. He's got himself together. Ball loose out front and a behind-the-back shot with 26 seconds left. Whistle blows. And Rich Tamburino says timeout called by Philadelphia. They'll have possession. They're down by 2, and a well-conceived play here can pull you right back into a 1-goal difference.
They're going to go into their 22nd offense, I guess, and try to get a good quality shot on goal. Probably hold the ball for that whole 20 seconds and take the shot right at the last second.
And you would expect that John Tucker would be out there. He is the favored quarterback type for their offense. But look at Ron Frazier, who is in 2 Hall of Fames as a lacrosse player, a tremendous coach. Let's take a look at the scoring in the second period of play. They started the second period 4-2. They were down. New England was ahead. And here's how it went. Boucher and Cataldo scored first, and that was a commanding 6-2 lead. Then it was Tucker and Gabrielson to come back for Philadelphia to really keep them in the game. And that's where it stands right now with the 2-goal difference. And Tucker with 2 goals on the game. We knew he had to step forward, Bruce. This would be an excellent time for him to take 1 more step forward and get his team back to within 1, when realistically they'd be lucky to be that close.
They really would, and they're getting a break here. The thing that impresses you about this New England team is their size. They've got some big people. They've added 3 people in the offseason, a total of all of them over 6 feet.
Now, you talked in the open about the team concept. I don't think anybody in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League does it better. Here comes Kotz. He looks in close, and there's a shot. And a goal!
With 12 seconds left.
Mark Hahn brings Philadelphia back to within 1.
Mark Hahn is among the all-time leading Major Indoor Lacrosse scorers.
He sneaks in behind the defense. They turn their backs on him. That was a mistake because it left Mark Hahn wide open.
We got a lovely pass here from Brad Kotz, I believe it was, who not only drew his defender, but he drew the defender that was watching Mark Hahn. As soon as he took his eyes off Mark, bang, Kotz got him the ball.
That's exactly what happened. Brad Kotz, one of the greatest scorers of all time, got the attention of the whole defense. And that allowed Mark Hahn to sneak in behind, pick up the ball in the crease, and bring Philadelphia back to within 1. 7 seconds left. It'll be tough for anybody to get a score off within 7 seconds, and Philadelphia doing a nice job of regrouping and really taking advantage of every opportunity they can get.
Well, it depends where they inbound the ball here, I guess, whether New England are going to be able to get a quality shot on goal or not. With only 7 seconds left. It takes a bit longer than that to set things up.
Looks like a timeout was called by New England. There's Ron Frazier. Yeah, he's over there talking about his last shot opportunity. He can go ahead and erase that lead, that 1-goal now difference by Mark Hahn by getting a good shot of his own. Tremendous crowd for Philadelphia, and that's what you expect here because, as I mentioned, they have over 8,000 season ticket holders for Major Indoor Lacrosse action. And this place really goes crazy over the Philadelphia Wings, 2-time champions of the MILL.
Well, Ron Frazier, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer in the New York area, Hall of Famer
has drawn the play out, and here they go, 4 seconds.
In Baltimore at the Foundation. Hard shot, wide of the net. Philadelphia did a great job of climbing back into this game. They scored the last 3 goals of this first half. Tucker, Gabrielson, and Mark Hahn. They're back to within 1. 6-5 the score, and the defending champions are on the move. It's halftime at the Spectrum, and the visiting New England Blazers have a very threatening 6-5 lead over the defending champions. We talked about John Tucker, how critical his performance would be to the success of the Wings. He scored the first goal of the first quarter. He scored the first goal of the second quarter, and Bill Baroza has him down on the arena floor.
Leaf, this is Bill Baroza with John Tucker outside the Wings locker room. And John, New England came out really quick, and I don't know if that got you nervous or scared or if you expected that from them.
I expected them to come out fast because they wanted to take the crowd out of the game, and they feel a little bit of a revenge factor from last year. We stuck them pretty good up in New England, and they wanted to come out and prove how good of a team they are. They're an excellent team, very young, athletic and well coached, and we got our hands full.
Well, I was listening to them on the sideline, and they said to make sure you shut off Tucker and Kotz. They seem to be doing that real well. What do you think you'll do in the second half to defend that?
Well, we have to get more ball movement and actual body movement out of other players. We're standing still a lot, and it's creating an easy defense for them.
Yeah. John O'Neill's done a great job in the goal. I know you have 2 goals this first half, and you seem to be shooting the ball at him. Do you think there's something magical, or you're going to look for something different to do to score some goals in the second half?
Well, if you watch O'Neill, the way he plays is he likes to take a side away from you. He actually baits you and then moves to that spot as you shoot. So in effect, it looks like you're hitting him all the time. We're shooting for the open spot, but that's where he wants us to shoot. We're trying to make an adjustment to where we may have to shoot where he is. I know it sounds kind of funny, but where he's positioning himself now, we shoot that way. He tends to move away to the open spot. It should be open. We'll look for a second half.
All right, well, John Tucker, Philadelphia Wings, one of the leading scorers and a leader of this team for sure. We wish him luck in the second half. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill Baroza. John Tucker will try to drag his Philadelphia Wings into the lead and their first win. We will have more of our halftime here from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Stay with us. The New England Blazers surprise lead of 6-5. We're back at the Spectrum. The New England Blazers a surprise lead 6-5, but it was a lot worse. It was 3 straight goals by the Philadelphia team to get them back to that 6-5 margin. And here's the last goal of the first half. It was Mark Hahn sneaking in a feed from Brad Kotz. That was at the end of a 3-goal run. Tucker, Gabrielson, Hahn, and they brought Philadelphia back from a 6-2 game to a 6-5 game. Here's how it worked. Our Coors Light first half statistics. New England started off 2 goals by Hiller, then a goal by Philadelphia, and then it was New England again with a pair of goals. Boucher and then Mark Gold, the veteran, before Conley answered for Philadelphia, and the first quarter was a 4-2 operation. Now in the second quarter, it was 2 more goals by New England. Boucher and Cataldo before Philadelphia lit up the scoreboard. John Tucker, Scott Gabrielson, and then the goal by Mark Hahn. Of course, we saw that goal. 6-5. Philadelphia is right in this ball game. Defenses started off shaky, Bruce, but the offenses are really starting to loosen them up.
Yeah, they did. I think they're a little bit fortunate to be this close as well. They got off to a shaky start, and they're not penetrating with the ball. They're not getting the ball in close. They're being outshot 25-22, but it's more of a story than that. New England are getting better shots on goal.
Each team has 4 separate guys scoring. It's a very tight game, 6-5. They average about 11 goals a game last year. We look for the second half to be a very high-scoring operation. This is the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, and this has been our Coors Light halftime report. We're back at the Spectrum. Leif Elsmo along with Bruce Todman and Bill Baroza down along the sideline. 6-5. You see the score. New England, Bruce, surprising a lot of folks here. They've got the lead in a relatively low-scoring affair.
The shots on goal were relatively even. The Blazers had 3 more, 25-22. But it was a bit deceptive.
All right, we start the second half, and New England gets the face-off. It'll be the line with Cataldo being the last scorer along with Boucher. And Cataldo comes in very close in the crease. He's hammered by 2 defensive players. Ball goes back to Flynn. The goalie is down. Dallas Eliuk is down. He was nailed hard when Cataldo, who is a real load, came flying in there for a shot. He was checked by 2 players on Philadelphia's squad, and he got knocked down in the process.
There's the shot on goal, and then he got pushed into the goaltender. And that's what happened to Eliuk. He was on his knees, and then he got leveled by the Blazer player.
And they're checking his left knee. Watch his left knee as you see the contact, because that is what they're working on right now.
Number 22, Walt Cataldo, gets thrown into him.
Didn't have very far to move. Actually, it could be his ankle. They're looking at the left ankle. He's moving it around pretty much there, as you can see.
I think he may have hyperextended it because he was kneeling, as I said, when he got hit.
And Bruce, I don't think they want to take Dallas Eliuk out of the goal. He is their #1 stopper.
No, they do not. I think, realistically, though, Leif, the Wings are a little bit lucky to be this close in the game.
Well, here they go. They are making a goalie change, and this could be critical in the outcome. Marcella from Drexel, #1, comes in for Philadelphia. Or at least he walked into the crease area. Maybe he won't stay because Dallas Eliuk now is moving around.
Yeah, Eliuk's telling him to go have a seat. I'm okay, he says. I'm okay.
All right. So Marcella comes back off. Mark Marcella, 5'8", 170. Played his lacrosse at Drexel, but there's Dallas talking to Tom Young.
Well, let's watch to see now whether the wings can penetrate. That's what they need.
I think he's trying to get time to protect him a little bit in that crease area. That crease is supposed to be a little bit of protection. I'm sure didn't get any on that particular play.
No, he didn't. The Wings are bringing the ball up better. Their transition game is a little bit better, but they're still not getting quality shots.
Well, I think because of the timeout situation, they've got to put Marcella in, because if not, you get charged for the timeout. Let's see if they just go ahead and make a switch after they get possession in the offensive end.
So now it's an injury timeout, and they won't be charged for it.
And Marcella comes off the field, and the switch is back on. They do not get charged for the timeout. Strategic move by
technicalities.
Mark Hahn has the ball down low. He scored the last goal to bring the Philadelphia Wings back to a 6-5, and he gets his second straight to tie it up. Mark Hahn showing that the veteran still has it.
And what happens here is that there are two screens set for him. Here comes the second one, and he shoots around the second screen, set up by McAvoy. They're not penetrating, but at least they're getting good quality shots. Quality shots mean goals.
Well, and you might want to mention that Bruce Donaldson is in the goal. That was a goal allowed by Bruce Donaldson. They have taken out Dan O'Neill, who was absolutely sensational in the first half. And that first shot on Bruce Donaldson was not an exceptional shot. And it scored, of course, to tie it. So we'll see if that particular move, taking Dan O'Neill out of the game, ends up hurting New England. Philadelphia again with possession on the faceoff. 1-1 now in the second half. Tucker looks away, feeds inside, and Donaldson watches it go wide. Another shot in close, and Donaldson watching that ball miss the 4x4. Actually 4x4.5 this year. Here come the young legs of New England. Look at the speed of Todd Francis. All the way across. Tucker picks up defense. Sudan. Timmy Sudan, who's done a lot of face-off chores, now comes off for some fresh legs. Hiller will be coming in. Hiller scored the first 2 goals of the game for the Blazers. Carmian. Back to Hiller. Now Carmian going one-on-one. Takes the left-handed shot. He thought he had a screen, but an easy save by Eliuk. Pushing called, and the ball will go back to the Blazers. Early in the third period, 13 minutes left. All tied at 6. The last 4 goals scored by Philadelphia. Mark Hahn scoring the last 2. They were down 6-2 and have called back to a tie. But there's a shot from outside. And I believe it was Boucher. It was Tom Carmian, rather, number 45 from Massachusetts. And Carmian gets the goal to put the New England Blazers on top.
Here's the pick set up by Scott Hiller. Tom Carmian walked around the screen, took a good shot, bounce shot, again a bounce shot, beating Eliuk.
And Carmian, one of the big offensive guns for New England, gets his first goal of the game. He's the 5th player to score for New England. Both teams had 4 different players in the scoring column at the end of the first half. Actually, before this last goal, Carmian being the 5th player on the New England roster.
Well, we mentioned how well-balanced their scoring attack is. Philadelphia still, even this evening, relying on just a few people to put the ball in the net.
That has never been really the style of Philadelphia, but last week in Detroit, in a losing effort, they had 8 goals, 7 different players scored. That's more of a problem for Philadelphia. They need somebody to come up and score in big bunches, somebody like a Tucker or a Cox. Schmitz gets the ball out front to Chanachuk from Hopkins. Trying to feed it all the way across the field, and that thing had no way to get through. Knocked down by Chris Flynn. Flynn goes ahead and gets possession. A local favorite. Running back for University of Pennsylvania, as well as an All-American lacrosse player. Hard shot by Conley, and Donaldson gets comfortable with an outside shot. Delegati comes in with a right-handed rocket. Just over top of the pipe, and look at this outlet to Chanachuk.
He tried the fast break. It didn't click that time.
I think it might be a substitution call. Scott Boyle They're calling on Mark Gold, saying he left the box too early. And it'll be 2 minutes in the box. We'll take a short break, but the Blazers still lead 7-6. A great opportunity for Philadelphia. They've got a 5-on-4 situation. They're down by 1 as each team has traded goals in the third period of play. Tucker controls. Cots up top with Todd Curry, and Curry goes all the way across to Tucker. Misses him, and now Tucker wants to reload with about 1:23 left on that power play. Here comes Curry. Little fake move into Delegati, and Delegati just missed with a left-handed shot. That's exactly where they want to get the ball, to Delegati down low.
That's where they have to get the ball. The Wings are just a little bit confused by this tight diamond that the Blazers are playing, cutting off the passing lanes and taking away the shot from Tucker at the top. They've got to get it down to the crease now.
Now Cataldo controls the ball, and here's double teaming by Philadelphia. You've got to be careful. Here comes Stevens. And a great save by Eliuk. And another shot that goes wide. Todd Curry has a chance to pick it up. Doesn't quite get it. Helped by Tucker, who literally took the Blazer player off of Todd Curry's back.
They've got just under half a minute left on the power play. They're going to have one more kick at it unless they pop it up.
Well, he tried to sneak it down to Delegati, but it didn't work.
No need to rush. They didn't have to rush that much.
It cost them. They lost the ball. And here comes Sudan. And Sudan knocked down to the surface by John Tucker and picked up just as quickly.
They've got about 15 seconds. They're going to have one more kick at it if they can push it up.
John Tucker with the ball, great All-American from Hopkins, now coaching at Gilman in Baltimore. Back out to the Syracuse connection. It's Cots and Curry. They work those corners, each a dominant midfielder at Syracuse at different times. And here we come into the corner. They beat the goalie Donaldson on the power play. With only seconds left, the game's tied at 7.
That's where you have to get the ball if you're on the power play. You've got to get it down to the crease men. Now you see them working it down. Delgatti. Over. Nice shot. Beautiful shot.
Comes in that tight. Of course, the goalie, Donaldson, has to go from pipe to pipe. And you can get these goalies with all their padding to move from side to side. You've got a great chance to score. And Paul Denikin laid that one right in there. Philadelphia back to a tie game. Oh, they need this win badly. They come in 0-1, the defending champion team. They've got to win at home. Cots off the ball. Goes to Cots. Cots with a shot and a score.
Gary Martin did the legwork on this one as he's bringing the ball off the floor, off the loose ball, fakes the shot, drops it over to Cots, uses the defender as a screen, pops it over the shoulder of Schmidt, and into the top corner of the goal, past Donaldson. Watch him screen. Beautiful. Beautiful screen.
Schmidt's had a tough job there covering 2 players, and Philadelphia back to a 1-goal lead. They've scored 2 goals in the third period against Tom Carmine for New England's 1, and they have come back from a 1-goal deficit, tied it, and now they're first lead the game for the hometown Philadelphia Wings. New England was trying to really run them down the first half. It looks like Philadelphia is running away with New England. Now the ball goes to the other end.
The Wings have discovered the benefits of the fast break, Luke.
They found some youth in their legs. Mark Gold can't handle that bad pass that went caroming off the boards. Brad Cots now slow things down. He said, we don't want to make this a track race. Tucker comes back on. Tucker with the Mike Tyson look this year. No socks. Tries to feed it in close to Gabrielson. He gets it. 9-7.
The spinorama move. The spinorama.
Scott Gabrielson gets his second goal of the game. 9-7.
Gabrielson trying to fool everybody. Does the spinorama. Donaldson must have been wondering what was going on. The Wings are starting to penetrate, Leaf. That's what's happening. Simple as that.
And Frazier calls a timeout for Philadelphia, or for the New England team, rather. A 2-goal lead now for Philadelphia. makes Ron Frazier's move of switching goalies look very questionable. Dan O'Neill doing a sensational job in the first half. And now it's Donaldson who has to take him into this game. They're down by 2.
When you travel, stay where the stars of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League stay. In Worcester, Mass, the Beechwood Inn. In New York, the Long Island Marriott. In Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Airport Hilton Inn. In Baltimore, the Sheraton Inner Harbor. In Pittsburgh, the Westin William Penn. And in Detroit, the Hotel St. Regis. All official hotels of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League.
Prime Network's exclusive coverage of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League continues next week as we go back to Detroit to see the Twin Turbos. It's the Gate brothers against the Pittsburgh Bulls, and that will be the best matchup. Pittsburgh has the best 2 defensemen, the only ones possibly of matching up against Detroit in a man-to-man situation. Let's take a look at the last goal by New England. Carmine comes in, and after 6 out of 7 goals by Philadelphia to get him into the lead by 2, Carmine scores his second straight to make the score 9-8.
John Connolly turned his back on him just for a split second, and he snuck in behind him. Carmine did, put the ball in the top corner.
And moments after that, Kelly Carr right there, number 36, scored his goal to make the game a 9-9 game. Very close and a seesaw affair. So Kelly Carr working in concert with Carmine. The timeout by Ron Frazier really regrouped his troops. 6 out of 7 goals had been scored by Philadelphia before that timeout. And then Carmine and Carr put New England back into a tie game.
You notice how the Wings got it back into their goal crease. There's nothing wrong with that, but the goalie then has to relinquish the ball within 4 seconds.
Kotz now slows down the offense. Philadelphia, as you mentioned, Bruce, here's Kotz first of all, right in on Donaldson. And Hahn takes a shot that bounces off Bruce Donaldson's chest protector. Good hard hit by Gary Martin. You had mentioned about the shots being in close. Philadelphia definitely shooting shots tighter in on the goalie, moving the ball better when they don't have possession, and that's what that amounts to.
Exactly. They're moving better away from the ball.
6:20 left, third period. It's all tied. The Philadelphia Wings have the strength of a little bit of momentum and this great crowd here at the Spectrum on their side.
Tucker mentioned in his interview how they were standing still. They're not doing that anymore.
Mark Gold comes in, a little dip fake, didn't fake out Dallas Eliuk, and the high shot just bounces off his stick. There goes a fast break. Tucker's got help. He gives it into that help. And it was Mark Hahn who could not pick it up. Ball still loose. Hahne's got it now. Here comes Mark Hahn. He'll shoot. Donaldson picks it up. They're looking to counter right away, and Donaldson not as good an outlet passer, it would seem, as Dan O'Neill. Dan O'Neill was really hitting the mark.
No, he hasn't connected on a pass yet, in fact. But it seems to be the New England Blazers' past history that they alternate the goalies. As we mentioned, Yeager and O'Neill split the time last year, and it looks like that's going to be Ron Frazier's strategy for the early going here, too.
Shot bounces off, shot by Manley off of Donaldson. You would think that you would keep your stopper for the second half, but a good move by Frazier, knowing the crowd would be so into the first half. He put his #1 goalie in the first half, sort of got his team loose. And now he's got Donaldson with all the energy to finish out the game.
Maybe he feels Donaldson is his stopper. I mean,
that could be, and it would surprise me. I think O'Neill is ranked sort of as the #1 guy, but I think it would be also a good strategy to start him in an arena like this, where you've got a tremendous crowd of 15,000 that could totally intimidate you if you didn't have a guy making some great saves. 4:40 left. Game tied at 9. Here comes Kelly in on that unit with Delegati. Sweet Lou, you hear the crowd yelling, Lou, Lou. Great left-handed player from Towson State. Watch him come in and bull his way in for a shot. He's wrapped up, and he still has the ball. Up top, Conley shoots hard, and it bounces off Cataldo. He'll lay it out to Boucher. Boucher now on the roll. Flynn behind him. Boucher will shoot as he goes down. And Chris Flynn is going to get a penalty when we come back. It'll be a man-up opportunity for the team from New England.
Major Indoor Lacrosse players know all the right moves. When you're on the move, score with your official Major Indoor Lacrosse League MasterCard. Accepted at over 6.3 million locations. Get instant cash from participating Sirius ATMs. Enjoy 24-hour customer service. And choose your favorite team's logo. Contact 1-800-847-7378 to apply. This unique MasterCard is scoring with fans already. Call 1-800-847-7378 and make a hit.
Here's a replay of Chris Flynn tripping in the estimation of the referee.
No,
it really looks like Boucher tripped.
He tripped on the carpet. Boucher tripped on the carpet. We had thought, of course, we're looking at it the naked eye the same way that the referee is.
He doesn't have the replay, but that was called a trip to in the estimation.
He most definitely slipped on this brand new, spanky new carpet.
And that has been a troubled area. We've noticed 3 trips in that exact same spot on this brand new carpet. New England with an excellent chance to go ahead and break this deadlock. Let's see how the defense stacks up. All alone in tight. 3 passes and a score. Didn't take them long. They made the correct passes and got the shot down low. Jack Piatelli on the offside. It was Dallas Eliuk who really had no chance, Bruce, because that ball came down 3 passes.
No, that's an empty net goal. 3 men on 2. The ball is moving much quicker than the men can move. The ball's in the net. A little roughhousing by Greg Manley after the goal was scored.
Chico comes there and forces. Look at the crowd. Loves the contact. 10-9 now. New England climbs back to within 1. They've scored 3 straight. They were down by 2 before they ran off this little 3-goal spurt.
Big Charlie Blanchard, another one of the members on this team that provides them with a very well-balanced offense. Blanchard got 3 goals and 2 assists last week, and he was the MVP of the game against New York last weekend.
3rd power play goal for New England, and they are really starting to be a factor in the game. 3 power play goals for New England, 2 power play goals for Philadelphia. Now the Wings have to climb back from 1 goal down again. They have been behind almost the whole season during these first 2 games. Had the lead for only moments here in the 3rd period. A lot of good moves against Kelly Carr. Tries to get open for the shot. Ball bounces away, and right out in front is danger with Kotz. Tries to get it up high. Does not find the mark, and what's the call?
I think it's going to be another tripping call.
I think Sudan really leveled a high check into Kotz, and it's going to be a personal foul. Personal foul gives them 2 minutes in the box, and Philadelphia will have a chance to regain that power play goal. They're down by 1. 3 minutes in the 3rd quarter, that's what's left, and they'll have a chance to even this one up again.
Sudan, in an attempt to play defense, had fallen down. The Philadelphia Wings player tripped over him while he was laying down on the ground. That's why he's going off. 2 minutes for tripping.
Great chance for Philadelphia. They've scored 1 power play goal already in this half. So here's the power play. They need a goal to tie it up. Delegati down low. He's very dangerous, but New England gives him a little bit of room. Into the crease. Denikin turns and fires. All the way across to Delegati. Nothing there to shoot at. And Delegati was really ripped off his wheels by Cataldo. 2 big, strong players.
Now, what the Wings did that time is they put a man right in the middle of that New England diamond to try to force somebody in. And then they threw the ball into that individual.
Last year, the first year for the Coors Light All-Pro team. And this year, all these players trying to make that 1st and 2nd team status voted on by their peers. All the way out across to Mark Gold, who is slashing in front of the crease. Armin could not make that one click. Mark Gold chases down Brad Kotz, but Eliuk now gives it to Denikin.
They've got a minute left in the penalty, so they've got lots of time to set up here.
It'll be John Tucker quarterbacking up top. The Syracuse connection now up on either corner. That's Kotz with the left hand, Curry with the right. They'll take as much room as the defense will allow them. Now over to Curry. Curry into Delegati, and Denikin couldn't get it off. Seems like Denikin was cradling a lot for that position. He should have taken it right away on the redirect. But right in front, watch who gets a redirect opportunity. Now we're back to live.
Let's see if the Wings can put somebody inside that diamond. There he is. Tucker is setting up right in the middle of the diamond.
You see the time marching down. They only need one good shot.
20 seconds left.
And that is not a good shot for that power play. That is what they're baiting you to do, is playing that diamond. They're saying take that shot from up top, Kotz or Curry, and don't get it low to Denikin or Delegati. Delegati looks a little winded on the left-hand side. He is really the weapon they want to get the ball to. They tried that time, and it went right through. Delegati, again, I mentioned, a little bit tired. I think that fatigue took that shot away from him. They'll eat it up here. All gone now, all even. Here comes Sudan. And Sudan doesn't get the shot. Now Toby Boucher. He's double teamed in the corner. Gets it off to the wing.
We're under 1 minute to play in the third quarter.
Shannon Chuck looks for a little bit of help as they switch lines. They've got it's tough when you can't see the shot clock, which is not, it's sort of inoperational right now. So he doesn't have much time, I can tell you that. But that is the time of the third period that you see. 35 seconds. Mark Gold, hard shot. A field lacrosse shot. Matter of fact, in field lacrosse, that wouldn't even be a great shot. Right into the belly of the goalie. 10-9, New England with a 1-goal lead. Will they call a timeout here? They've got 19 seconds, 18 seconds. Gabrielson will get a shot if he gets it in close, and it bounces around Donaldson. Mark Hahn tried to absolutely slap check it in.
Didn't work.
Little Mark Hahn trying to slap check it in under Donaldson with 8 seconds left. That will be probably the last shot. Here we go. Mark Gold, rocket from outside, and the time expires in the third period. 3 straight goals by New England put them in the driver's seat. 10-9, and Philly has to come from behind. We're getting ready to start the fourth quarter. Here's the third quarter statistics. And you see Philadelphia started off with Hahn scoring his second straight. He ended the first half. Carmine for New England, and then Denikin and Kotz for Philadelphia. Philadelphia had a 2-goal lead. When Gabrielson and Carmine scored, that really made things different because Carr and Blanchard gave New England the 3 straight goals, and they now have a 10-9 lead. Fresh into the fourth period, Leif Elsmo, along with Bruce Todman. We've got Bill Barroza down there on the Philadelphia bench. Maybe he can give us some insight to the pressure that's on this defending champion team as we get into this fourth quarter. This team has to get a first victory here at home if they want to contend this year. Of course, their first 2 games, last week against Detroit, Bruce, and this week against New England, are against teams that are not in their division. This year, a divisional setup, all they have to do is win that, and they will be in the championship.
And in our estimation, probably 2 of the toughest teams in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League this year, New England and the Turbos.
So they have a tough start to this season. They have to be the better of New York and Baltimore, because with Philly, that makes up the American division.
We mentioned earlier, talking to each other, that the Wings have basically stood pat this year with a couple of additions only. Eliuk, the goalie, being one real good one. Several of the other teams have made some huge changes.
A lot of firepower added to Detroit in particular, but everybody, even New England, adds Mark Gold. They change the chemistry. They get a little punch to the offense. Philadelphia, basically, as a 2-time champion, really relying on the same war horses they got on there before. They're excellent players, but only time will tell if that strategy does not pay off.
It was a nice face dodge by John McAvoy, resulting in a shot on goal. Donaldson ate it up.
And Donaldson really playing a sensational game after he got settled back there in the goal. He's from Hobart, and not many schools have better programs in lacrosse than Hobart, so his schooling has been excellent.
The Wings have taken the shot lead at this point, 44-38 over the Blazers. Not only are they getting more shots, they're getting better shots.
Blanchard way outside. Left-handed rocket against Eliuk. We'll also keep an eye on how the legs are holding up. Fast break. Right in the middle of Mark Hahn. He is knocked down. Right in front of the crease. They're in the cylinder. Tries to look off McAvoy. And that ball will be picked up deep in their territory. Gary Martin actually fed that one out front with a look-away feed from behind. I don't know who he's trying to fake out. Philadelphia, though, moving very well in the second half overall.
The Wings are really spreading out their offense now.
And again, let's take a look at here in the fourth quarter. Who gets a little more tired? New England is betting on their legs being stronger than Philadelphia. Blanchard misses that one. It bounces in. Resch can't pick it up. Here comes the lob shot. Donaldson almost hit him perfectly. A little too strong to Chanenchuk.
Donaldson certainly wants to be a passer, doesn't he?
That one was a little bit more on the mark than his other outlets. Here comes Tucker out of the box, uncontested against two defense players. Now into Denikin, who takes that redirect to the right hand. A short break, 10-9. Philadelphia still trying to climb out from a one-goal deficit. We talked about John Tucker being a leader. He has opened the scoring in the first, second quarter, and now in the fourth for his team.
The Blazers are contending that he was in the crease. Well, the better look at it at this replay. Well, they've got a case. But the goal stands, and it's a 10-10 game.
Good movement is really the critical thing. They pushed the ball, they pushed the movement off the ball. Tucker was in the right place and dumped it in behind Donaldson for that tie goal. John Tucker scoring the first goal for his team in the first quarter, the first goal for his team in the second, and now the fourth. We talked about him stepping forward. I think he has done that.
Nice pass from Paul Denikin as well. Set him up for the empty netter.
The only player on the field so far tonight with a hat trick, John Tucker. And Philadelphia now has, I would say, about 15,000 or so fans here helping them out through this fourth quarter. Push ball. Ball goes to Philadelphia. Now the coach's strategy also becomes very important. Flynn comes out with his lineup. They're clearing out for him against Mark Gold. Flynn's in all by himself, and he can't get a shot that challenges Donaldson. Boy, he was wide open, Bruce. Came in, cleared out, and flat beat Mark Gold.
We mentioned a couple of minutes ago how the Wings have opened up and spread out their offense to put one-on-one. That's just what they're trying to do. Flynn beat his man. He got a good quality shot.
Now New England with a possession. Mark Gold doesn't wait for his line to change. He saw a seam. He took it in there and darn near scored on it. Hit the pipe and bounced back out. He beat his man, and he beat the goalie. He just didn't hit the 4-foot by 4.5-foot goal. Conley now with the ball. 10-10 game with 10 minutes left. And number 10 has the ball. A series of 10s. Let's see if he can break it.
Another possession call going in favor of the Wings. Kelly Carr playing a little bit too aggressively.
And a good shot of Todd Curry, number 14 for Philadelphia. Again, All-American midfielder for Syracuse, who dominated the lacrosse in the field ranks in this country in the 1980s. Martin now looks inside, and Mark Hahn doing a good job tonight of getting excellent shots. Hahn has 2 goals, and he's been all around the crease area.
They're playing who wants the ball.
Good defensive play by Philadelphia. They're not letting New England get those loose balls. New England really made a name for themselves last year as a good team concept. A group of guys who got most of those loose balls. And tonight, Philadelphia is contesting them on every one here in the fourth quarter.
Last year, the New England Blazers led the league in loose balls and faceoffs, and not coincidentally, led the league at the end of the regular season as well.
And now everybody has a book on them, so they know that in order in close games to beat this squad, you've got to beat them to the ball late in the game. That was the key as we talked to Toby Boucher before this game. And Gary Martin now looks like he's going to take a rest over the penalty box. Resch is walking over there also. Resch is getting information.
I think Resch is just going over to have a chat. He's the mayor of the team, isn't he?
Yeah, and then Martin going over for a seat. So
he's the captain.
That's a guy they need goals from. Gary Martin, you can tell, not very happy. You don't see him on the score sheet yet tonight, but he is one of those offensive stars that needs to step forward for this team to go ahead and three-peat. No goals for Gary Martin tonight.
Yeah, Yeah, Resch was just over there contesting the penalty.
That's Martin's second penalty of the
Now,
night.
wait a second. Simultaneous minors leave. They've both gone on.
All right, we've got two guys in the box,
So?
which doesn't hurt him as bad, does it?
The mayor went over and had a word. Things got straightened out. Every team is like a sports team is like a little community. There's a mayor, there's a lawyer, a policeman. That's about as far as we'll go with that one for now.
Then there's the guys that break the curfew. Peter Schmitz comes up with the loose ball on the faceoff. This game is tied at 10 with 9 minutes left in the fourth period. Major Indoor Lacrosse League had 5 overtime games last year, so it's not uncommon that these games are close or going to overtime.
In the indoor league, when simultaneous penalties are called, as they are in this situation, do not replace the men on the floor. So we're playing 4-on-4. Opens up the field a little bit.
This is our second week of 13 exclusive weeks of coverage on the Prime Network of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Fast break if they can get a hold of it. Nobody helping out Greg Manley. Boy, if Manley had the energy, he was a little bit dogged from playing defense. He was all alone, a lot of green in front of him.
Even when Philadelphia have been successful in pushing it up the floor a little bit faster, New England have been relentless in getting back. They've played great get-back defense.
They learned that quickly. Last year, they got shellacked in their first 2 games. They won the rest of them. But they learned in those first 2 games that you better pack in that defense because they were getting killed on fast breaks. Under 8 minutes, still tied at 10. It's going to be a break, whether it be a fast break or a lucky break, that may decide this game. McAvoy took his eye off that one. Todd Curry now. He's got the great right-handed shot. He likes to shoot from the outside. Not a penetrator by nature.
McAvoy set a nice pick for him, but he ran right into it.
Not his style.
The Wings are having trouble just holding onto the ball at this juncture. That looks like a boarding penalty on Piatelli.
Jack Piatelli will join his teammate in the box. It'll be an opportunity for Philadelphia to take the lead. It's a power play opportunity for Philadelphia, and on their first shot, they give it back to New England. This is quite possibly the opportunity of the game for them to take the lead. Tucker contesting possession deep in his own territory. It's a 2-minute advantage for Philadelphia, but they've got to get possession. Here's Kotz digging it out. Donaldson will help him out. No, that's Eliuk in the goal. Sorry, wrong end of the field. Martin now, who's been sequestered for a few minutes, now out of that box.
Piatelli's in there. 2 minutes for roughing. Philadelphia's got about a minute and a half left.
Kotz sneaks it into Denikin. Couldn't get the shot off. Paul Denikin had it right in front of Donaldson and couldn't get anything on it. Now Cataldo, big and strong, will try to eat up some time. That's a big, as you mentioned, defensive unit out there for New England. Toby Boucher. He's tall, but he's lean and mean. A nice shot on a man down. Philadelphia was constantly burned last week by Detroit in man-up situations where they would allow goals even though they have the man advantage. Hopefully they learn from that. They're packing in a little bit here. Chanenchuk. Denikin trying to get it back. Watch out. Up top, Boucher. And the left-handed shot takes a couple bounces before he wanted it to.
Eliuk made a move on the first shot. It hit one of his players. By the time it got to him, he was luckily in the right spot to make the save.
20 seconds left. Here comes Denikin. They better get a shot off quick. They've got 17 left. Here comes Kotz. They got to set it up fast. I don't know if he knows how much time's on. Tucker into Curry. He'll shoot from there. That's a goal. Todd Curry makes it 11-10 with his first goal of the game.
Guess who? John Tucker sending it over to Curry, University of Syracuse grad, top corner, right over the right shoulder of Donaldson. The Wings are up 11-10.
Watch the defense giving him the shot. Cataldo challenged him to make that shot while he was splitting 2 players, and Curry was up to that challenge. 11-10 with 5:39 left. Nobody's leaving the spectrum yet.
Tucker with the assist.
And Tucker is lighting up the scoreboard, as we told you he had to do if this team was going to be successful. Chris Flynn, the All-American from the University of Pennsylvania. This crowd knows him well, a hard-nosed kid. Running back for the football team. Face-off specialist and an All-American midfielder for the lacrosse squad. Tucker and Kotz both get credit for assists on the Curry goal. It's a power play goal, and that is their third power play goal of the game. Each team with 3 power play goals. They balance out. 8 seconds were left on the power play, so they really used their time wisely. You thought they might not get the shot off. Here in close, Curry now takes away the offensive threat for New England. Let's see if he's got wheels left. Francis is way back for New England, and Francis will meet Conley, but a behind-the-back pass to Flynn almost connects. There's a hard shot out front again by Curry. We're under 5 minutes, about 4.5, and Evans is on the sideline looking like one of the Coors Light six-pack cheerleaders. He's up there waving his arms, a little bit of hip gyration.
Well, not exactly like them.
Give him some time. I know he has a lot of respect for him.
That he does.
Brad Kotz with that left-handed shot, much like Curry, likes to shoot from the outside. And the ball comes back, but McAvoy now picks it up. All the way across to a wide open player, Tony Resch. Shot clock violation. 4 minutes left, and this game still up for grabs. A slim 1-goal lead for Philadelphia. They have not led but for a 3-minute total time in this game. And there's Evans right now trying to pull out all the stops. Delegati, number 77, also on the bench. Those are the offensive stars. And the defensive players are out there right now, including Brad Kotz, number 30. He misses Blanchard with a left-handed shot. Eliuk going the whole way, makes a sensational save. All right, the ball will go to Philadelphia.
The referees were in a hurry to blow that down. They blew the ball down to give it to Philadelphia when Philadelphia already had it and were gone.
Took away a fast break right away from the team that was getting the benefit of the call.
They certainly did.
So 3:34 left, a 1-goal lead for Philadelphia. Now let's see if John Tucker, the great John Tucker, the leader of this team who has pulled them back literally and almost single-handedly with his offensive push for a hat trick tonight. Let's see if he uses the full shot clock. Down to 3 minutes, 15 seconds in the game. They're going to burn up some of the time here. Tucker very calm out front. A lot of rotation off the ball, Bruce. They're just trying to keep the defense away from a double-team opportunity. Here comes Tucker. Tucker tried to force the crease and was knocked down easily. He tried to hit Manley. Now Donaldson has it. Let's see if they call timeout. Ron Frazier has the ball. He may try to call timeout to get a good offensive play. Nope. He's taking the push right here. Randy Frazier off to the side. Mark Gold now. I would think with 2:40 left, you might want to get one of your timeouts. He's got 2 left. But Frazier, very good, solid coach, going with the offense that's in there. Here comes Fitter in with a shot. We'll take a short break. Only 2:25 left. A 1-goal lead for the defending champion Philadelphia Wings. Well, Philadelphia has not led for most of this game. New England really showing a lot of moxie here at the Spectrum. Leif Elsmo along with Bruce Todman. But Philadelphia really using the home crowd for that small edge they needed to stay in it and then finally take a 1-goal lead, Bruce.
Well, the Wings have really slowed things down now, and the Blazers even tried a sort of a half-court press there. It was ineffective. Oh.
Giving the ball back, but no, picked up beautifully by Lou Delegati. All the way back into the corner. Brad Kotz was streaking down for the left hand, but that feed left him high and dry for a check. The check was called from behind, and the ball will go back to Philadelphia. That gets a reset of the shot clock, and they have some time. They'll try to keep it deep in the corners. Here's Kotz working from up top, and now Scott Boyle is calling a violation, a timeout. I guess a timeout called by Philadelphia. They have the ball, they have the lead, and they have called the timeout with 1:31 left.
There's Coach Evans. He was just about standing on his head, about 3 feet from the referee, trying to get a time called while he had possession of the ball.
He wants his defensive players in there Tucker is an offensive star, Delegati an offensive star, and they were on the field, Bruce. I think he wanted to change up his people. They were tired. They've been out there for a long time, and right now, if they lose possession out there, he wants those guys with enough energy to get back down and shut off New England. Meanwhile, here's Ron Frazier on the other side. And Bruce, what might he be telling his guys?
Boys, we need a goal.
That's probably the strategy.
I think so.
Of course, they need possession first, but do you double team here? You don't double team now. You don't want to give them a shot. Two goals to get out of it.
I don't think you have to. You've got a minute and a half. So you don't change anything. Play the same defense you've been playing. Play tough man-to-man defense. There's a minute and a half to go. They're going to get the ball with just under a minute to go at the very least.
We talked about
they don't have to force anything at this point.
We talked about their trademark of being a great team double teaming when the ball's on the ground. So watch New England when that ball hits the green and see if they don't swarm on the ball. Right now they're playing a tough man-to-man. It's Brad Kotz coming in for the left-handed shot, pushed off by Francis. Ball goes all the way back, now all the way up top. They're working the ball from back to back, working the backside. That's Mark Hahn. A lot of speed out there for Philadelphia. And Evans, what he did with that timeout was give them a rest. Hard shot by McAvoy, and that was a stupid shot if you're the coach of the Philadelphia Wings.
Well, they had 5 seconds left in the shot clock. He didn't have much choice.
I guess that makes the difference. Sorry, McAvoy, I didn't mean it. 56 seconds left. New England now not calling a timeout. Very unusual to me. You got possession. Would you want to call play here?
I think they probably already got their play set in the last huddle.
A critical time. Parmian working against Kotz. And Mark Gold with a lazy kind of left-handed shot. Maybe just trying to get a reset.
That won't reset it, though. That will. He's got another stop.
Just before the shot clock would have expired, Ron Frazier called a timeout. Nice move, again, showing why he's the coach and I'm not. Lets them work their offense, comes down to where they might lose possession because it wasn't a high percentage shot left. Nothing was available. He calls a timeout. They maintain possession.
That, of course, resets the 40-second time clock. And with only 32 seconds to go, they should have possession until the final whistle.
Dallas Eliuk on the other side of the field. Very difficult to play a full 4 quarters in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Detroit's got a guy who can do it.
Being a Canadian goalie, he's used to playing a whole game. They don't switch as much up there as they tend to down here.
So Eliuk looks like he's ready for the final 32 seconds. The pressure is square on his shoulders, and Jasico comes over there and gives him a little headbutt saying, come on, buddy, this is it. One more save and we're out of here.
He's got that Grand Prix mask on. Ready to race out of here when they win.
Looks like a 0 to 60 in about 9 seconds if he can get the save. 31 seconds. You can see it. Let's see what they set up for Ron Frazier and his New England Blazers. It's Randy Frazier shooting from the right-hand side. A good save by Eliuk. Illegal procedure. The crowd goes nuts. Possession to John Tucker in the wings. Tucker's got to get rid of it. He needs help. He takes it all on his shoulders. John Tucker assuming leadership, beating 2 players, beating 3 players. 12 seconds. Curry knocked off his wheels by Boucher. Still possession for Philadelphia. This will do it with 6 seconds left. And Curry congratulates the head-up play of New England. Now they have a chance for one more shot. No! The time expires as Dallas Eliuk gobbles up the last shot. Philadelphia 1-1 on the season with their first victory of this year.
They did, in fact, get a last shot, and it was right at the buzzer, and Eliuk had to make a save. Eliuk looked like he was coming out of his crease to start to congratulate his players, and what do you know, he's got a shot to stop.
So the defending champions find themselves down most of this game to the upstart regular season champs of last year. Again, this is a repeat of last year's championship matchup, New England against Philadelphia. Only last year it was played in New England. So Philadelphia on the strength of leadership. And Bruce, how important is that? You got John Tucker, somebody needs to step forward. He does it just when you need him most.
Well, it was everything at this point. Tucker told us at halftime what he'd have to do personally and what the team would have to start doing. I don't think we've heard the end of the New England Blazers, that's for sure. They've got a good quality team. They've got a lot of size. They've got a lot of depth. And it turns out they've got 2 good goalies.
So New England, again, showing that there's a lot of parity in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. They, in their first year of championship competition, last year they were in the championship, had the fair share of Coors Light All-Pros. And this year, they are making a big push to get back into that championship game. It's a 2-division playoff again, and they will have to be the better of Detroit, Pittsburgh, and New England to make it against the better of Philadelphia, New York, and Baltimore. But right now, Philadelphia is celebrating an 11-10 win. We'll be back in a moment with our Coors Light MVP. Light, no slowing down with the silver bullet. By U.S. Air, America's most frequent flyer. By STX, revolutionize your game with STX lacrosse equipment. And by Winless, official warm-up of the MILL. We're at the Spectrum, and you can see that 15,000 plus the frenzied fans that were here enjoying the come-from-behind 11-10 victory for Philadelphia, the defending champions of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. They are now filing out very happily into some pretty nasty weather. But what a game it was right here. The critical time, quite possibly, was in the middle of the game for about 20 minutes, including most of the second quarter and a majority of the third quarter. Dallas Eliuk held New England to only 1 goal, and that is largely why he's the Coors Light player of the game. He's downstairs with our Bill Baroza. Bill, introduce us to the Coors Light MVP.
I'd be happy to. I'm not sure if Dallas heard the introduction when they named the player of the game before the game had actually ended, because the fans were making so much noise. But I'll tell you, he started off slow and came on like a house of fire. Dallas, the score was 6-2. You let in a couple goals, and the fans were actually booing. But I tell you, by the end of the game, they were all on your side. Were you a little bit nervous or what?
Well, it was my first home game for the team, and I was a little bit nervous out there, as you could probably tell. They got a couple of screenshots on me earlier in the game, and fell 4 goals behind. It took a lot of guts for the guys to catch up and take the game over.
Okay. It seemed to be quite a physical game, and I think New England wanted to run on you, but you guys were physical to them in the beginning. Was there a planned game to out-muscle them, or just to run with them all game?
Well, New England is a fast-running team. They're in great shape. Our pre-game plan was to try and keep up with them, if not to get a little bit physical with them. They're a big team. I think that they outsize us by quite a large margin, and well, we gave it to them quite a bit there towards the end, coughing up a lot of balls, and we recovered them and got a lot of opportunities off of that.
Okay, there was a fantastic save you made in the first half. It was a one-on-one breakaway. Do you recall the save that you made?
I can't offhand, no.
There were just too many during the entire game, but you made some tremendous saves.
Well, thank you.
And I want to thank you very much. Congratulations again, and we hope to see you standing here with us again soon. Okay, back up to you, Lee.
All right, thank you, Bill. Dallas Eliuk, a tremendous game as the Coors Light MVP. We'll be back with more of our closing comments here. Prime Network's coverage of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League.
Hi, I'm Gary Gate. And I'm Paul Gate, members of the Detroit Turbos. The players of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League have teamed up with the Leukemia Society of America to fight this terrible disease. You can help us help kids with leukemia by call here, by ordering your official 1991 calendar. For $5 plus postage and handling, you can help the society. Order your calendar by calling the Leukemia Society today.
See you at the game.
See you at the game.
Welcome back to the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Wings, defending champions, get their first win of this new season as our Prime Network coverage of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League continues here in week 2 of a 13-week stretch. The Blazers and the Wings, that's last year's championship game. It was a rematch here tonight, and there is really the tail of the tape, the fourth quarter shutout. Philadelphia over New England, they really put the clamps on them. The guy most responsible for that shutout is Dallas Eliuk, the Coors Light MVP for tonight. And Bruce Todman, that was really the story, along with the fact that once he had a rough start, he got his feet under him and really helped Philadelphia go over that 7-1 stretch. They were behind 6-2, and over 20 minutes, he held New England to 1 goal as his team scored 7.
He really was the story. He and John Tucker, of course, who had 3 goals and 3 assists. Tucker told you what he had to do at the end of the first half. We knew they had to start penetrating. They finally did. Eliuk is to be excused, as he said, for the crowd noise and whatnot, giving up a few goals in the early going. But the Wings really started to penetrate in the second half. And I think full measure of that goes to John Tucker, who led the way the whole way.
He promised that he would have to step forward to lead his team to victory. He did that. He had 3 goals. He had 3 assists. He tied the game at 10, John Tucker did, and set up the game-winning goal by Todd Curry. Todd Curry came down on a semi-fast break. It was 2-on-1 on the right-hand wing, and it was Cataldo who had to split 2 people.
It was a power play goal. They brought it up. Curry used the screen, threw it right over the shoulder of the defender. Right in the top corner. Donaldson didn't have much of a chance on it.
And that was Todd Curry's specialty. He had been thwarted on that kind of shot from the outside by good goaltending from New England as the game went on. They had excellent goaltending. Dan O'Neill started the game, played an excellent first half. They went with their second goalie in the second half, Donaldson. He did a good job as well, but late in the game when it really counted, it was the offense that was pretty non-existent that showed up and really paid dividends for Philadelphia. So for Bill Barroza and Bruce Todman, I'm Lee Felsmo. Once again, our final from the Spectrum. It's the defending champion Philadelphia Wings 11 and the New England Blazers 10. Join us next week as we continue our exclusive coverage on Prime Network of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. It's the Detroit Turbos with star sensations, the Twin Turbos, Gary and Paul Gate, taking on the tremendous defense of the Pittsburgh Bulls.